Minority Whip Steny Hoyer joins us now with more on what we can expect to hear from the president. I call you leader, but I end up calling you Steny. But I'm going to start with Steny because
people have called me Steny a lot longer than anything else.
Than leader. I know. And we can always talk. I feel like we go back a ways to where, you know, politicians on both sides of the aisle used to have drinks together. We didn't have drinks, and so I'm going to tell you. This is one of your points. Expect the president to focus on the theme of restoring economic prosperity to the middle class. Here's what I would ask you if we were at a bar right now, Steny. I'd say we all want to do that, and we all understand that the president has some initiatives that government can be at the forefront of to try to help do that, whether it's infrastructure or education. But isn't it time for the president to offer an olive branch or to throw a bone to corporations and to the private sector and maybe to the, you know, we say we're not going to do it from the top down, but we know where jobs come from, we know where prosperity and GDP growth comes from, and we know the rap that he got the first 4 years about being anti-business kind of. Isn't this the night to come together and take in the other 47% and do some really business-friendly and private sector initiative?
I hope he takes in the 100%, and I certainly think that we need to encourage business growth in our country, manufacturing in our country. We have an agenda called Make It in America, as you probably know. I hope the president, and I believe the president, will be talking about growing manufacturing jobs, growing our economy, growing jobs generally. That's obviously what we need to do in this country and for our people. And I think he's going to focus on that. It's not a question of throwing a bone. What it is a question of creating an environment in which business, small, medium, and large, feels that there's an opportunity for success, growth, and profits. And if they don't have that, obviously they're not going to create the kinds of jobs we need created.
And you know, you see these guys on
creating Joe, let me just creating confidence, I think, is critical. This has been the most confidence deflating Congress in which I've served. I'm speaking of the last Congress, but this Congress continues apace. We've got to assure people that, in fact, there's going to be a stable environment fiscally and from an economic policy standpoint in which they feel confident that they can expand. If they don't have confidence, they're not going to do that.
We had Valerie on. Valerie, I call everybody by the first name. We had Valerie on, Steny, and we're all sort of at the...
well, I call you...
Yeah,
so
you call,
okay.
Well, you're allowed. I'm nobody. But anyway, Leader Hoyer, and I mentioned the speech at the inauguration, and I actually paraphrase it by saying maybe it's just the right or the private sector carping, but they've called it divisive and sort of assertive and you know, not any tacking to the center that people were hoping for. And she disagreed totally with that it was inclusive. But you know what I'm saying. I mean, there are people in the CEOs, not all of them, but some of them do say, with the heavy-handed regulation that they see and corporate tax reform is something a lot of people would like, bringing back repatriating some of that money. Is any of that going to be part of this tonight? Or he's got reelected. He can make his base a little bit unhappy. Can't he do that now and go after the 47% that didn't vote for him?
Joe, let me tell you something, and you know this to be the case, and people who talk about this, he did, in fact, make his base a little bit unhappy during the course of the last 4 years as his presidency. He did reach out and try to compromise. He did reach out and try to make an agreement so that we could get a big, bold, balanced fiscal package. The president has done that.
But did he get burned?
In my view, and I've been in Congress, Joe, as you know, for 32 years, other than 1995, which was a very confrontational year, the last Congress was the most confrontational, least likely to compromise, at least in the House of Representatives under the Republican leadership that I have served in. So I think it's an unfair criticism to say the president hasn't reached out. He has. Does he need to continue to do that? He does. Do we need to come together, Republicans and Democrats, give our country confidence, give the business community, as you point out, the confidence that they can expand with reasonable regulation, a tax structure that's competitive with the rest of the world, which way, as you will remember, he mentioned in the last State of the Union. So he gets that. I've discussed it with him personally. we need to create an environment in which business can expand, we can create jobs, and we can be competitive globally. And in fact, frankly, we're growing our economy. Now, last month, or last quarter, as you know, GDP went down for the first time in a very long time. Why? Because of instability in dealing with our fiscal challenges. And we have to get over that. The President's going to talk about that. He's going to talk about job growth. As it relates to his inaugural address, my view is this is a person, very, very hotly contested election, received only the second president, or the first president since Lyndon Johnson, well, actually Franklin Roosevelt, to get a majority of the votes in 2 elections running. No Democratic president before him has done that since Roosevelt. So majority of the people that voted for House members voted for Democrats, although we didn't take back the House. We expanded our majority in the Senate. That doesn't mean that we just ought to do it our way. The Republicans control the House. We need to have a compromise on moving forward, particularly on the fiscal field.
Okay.
And I would hope we could do that.
All right, Michelle's going to ask. Oh, you don't want to ask a question?
No.
Oh, go ahead, Michelle.
Because she's not at the bar with us, I don't think, Steny. I mean, I think she might.
I've heard Democrat after Democrat today tell me how much the president reached out to me during that last speech.
See, I knew this was.
Well, I don't know about reaching out to you, Michelle. Let me tell you, I sat in meetings with the president, sitting with the Republican leadership in the Senate and the House, and trying to get to a compromise. We didn't get there. But he spent a lot of time and effort in doing so, and any fair analysis would indicate that he was prepared to go to places, particularly on entitlements, that upset his base.
Sir, does the country have a spending problem?
Does the country have a spending problem?
Yeah.
The country has a paying for problem. We haven't paid for what we bought. We haven't paid for our tax cuts. We haven't paid for the war.
Promised? So are we promising too much?
Yeah, absolutely. If we don't pay, we shouldn't buy.
So how are those different than a spending problem?
Well, we spent a lot of money when George Bush was president of the United States, and the House and Senate were controlled by Republicans.
Okay, so that's 8 years, and now another 8 years of a lot of spending. So now we're going on 16 years of a lot of spending now.
Yeah, we need to stop it, but we did stop it, by the way, in 1993, and we had a pay-as-you-go, which was a bipartisan. George Bush the first, Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton adopted, and then it was dropped, as you know, in 2001. We didn't have a pay-as-you-go policy. And what happened? We blew a hole in the deficit, added $5 trillion to the deficit, and we took a surplus into deep debt. We got to stop that.
And
You're absolutely right.
Down, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I saw glimmers of hope with the Terrapins. I don't know.
There are glimmers of hope, and they did pretty well from time to time. Saturday, as you saw, Joe, was not a good game for us. We didn't play our A game, but when we play our A game, you know, we got a lot of freshmen. We got sophomore Alex Lynn is a dominant center right now. Not right now, but he's going to be. And we're going to have a very, very good team as time goes by. But they had a bad game on Saturday, but they had a good game away at Virginia Tech before that. So I'm very hopeful that they're going to do well coming forward and next year.
Any progress on, do I need to raise some money for the Steny Hoyer statue? There's a Boomer Esiason statue on the campus. And I said, where's the Steny Hoyer statue? And people looked at me like, I don't know. I'm working on that. Do you want me
You're chairman. Joe, I thought I appointed you chairman of that effort. We'll see how successful you are. Let me
spearhead that effort. You know what? Maybe in the next, we'll put some pork. We'll do some pork. Let's attach it to a bill. The next stimulus bill.
But, Michelle, remember, if we do the statute, we're going to pay for it.
Okay, got it.
In advance. In advance.
Okay. Leader Hoyer, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
See ya.
Thanks a lot.
You are a genius.